Viva ANC, viva! Viva COSATU, viva! Viva SACP, viva! Viva Sanko, viva! Malbongwe! Igama lamakhosikazi. Amandla. Program directors, the Mnganga family and Gcabashe family, members of the African National Congress National Executive Committee, President of the ANC Women's League, and members of the ANC Women's League NEC, and the leaders of the Alliance, and mass democratic movement formations who are here present, and the leaders of various political parties who are also here present, and members of parliament and various provincial legislatures, and comrades and friends. When I came in, I was welcomed at the basement by the Secretary General and the convener, Comrade Jeff, Comrade Mabuya Kulu, the coordinator, and I was surprised to see the national chairperson, Comrade Gwede Mantashe, in the group as well. For a minute, I thought he had come to see whether I am back. Because having acted as president for a few days, he might have not wanted it to end. So wayefuna ukubona ukuthi ndibuyile nyani na. Wase uthi how iphelile le ndaba yami. SG, on the other hand, kept on saying, as he was acting as president, no, that should not have happened. We should have had 3 names first. Who cared among 3 names? National chairperson, no, there's going to be an exception. Only his name will be put forward. So, iphelile ke le ndaba yakho yokuba acting president. Comrades, it's a joy to be here. We are indeed gathered here to say farewell, but we are also here to celebrate the life of a leader and an activist whose life was defined by dedication, love, and service to her people. As we are bidding farewell to her, we bid farewell to her as a mother, a sister, an aunt, and a freedom fighter, and a comrade. And I'd like to express gratitude to the ANC Women's League for organizing this absolutely fantastic farewell to Comrade Lungi. It's all so beautiful. You just have to look at the stage and see how well adorned it is, but you also need to stand where I am and look at the beautiful women who make up the ANC Women's League. Siyabulela. And I've been listening very carefully to all the speeches that have been made. No one, except reference to a lipstick, Iga Comrade Lungi, has spoken about her beauty. I always found her to be an absolutely beautiful woman, even if I should not say so as president. But I always, each time I looked at her, I would say, wow, what a beautiful comrade. She was a beautiful woman, serene, who in many ways radiated a quiet strength and inner peace that continued to captivate many without any effort. Her beautiful features, and you can see that as you look at the pictures, were soft and quite harmonious. And if you looked more carefully, you would see gentleness in her eyes. But her beauty isn't just in her appearance. It is in the way that she served her people and the way that she listened to those that she served. And on behalf of the leadership and membership of the African National Congress, we express our deepest condolences and sympathies to her family, to her friends, and to her daughter. While we were preparing to bid farewell to Comrade Lungi, we were saddened to hear the news of the passing of Isitwalandwe, Umama Ugetru Shope, the former president of the ANC Women's League, who was a stalwart of this glorious movement. And many of us will know the architecture of an African heart. Not only those who grew up in the rural areas will know about the beautiful architecture of an African heart. There is a pole that stands in the middle of an African heart. It is a pillar. It is called insika. African women are the insikas of our nation. They are the insikas of our families, of our nation, and of our communities. They are that because they keep everything intact. They keep everything together, strong, balanced, and proportional, like the pole in the middle of an African heart. Having to lose two of these important pillars in succession deepens our pain as a people and as a movement. And although Comrade Lungi no Mamu Shope belonged to different generations, they were one and parcel of the same political lineage. There are historical, ideological, and political connections that have linked these political leaders over time and space. They fought for the same cause. And today we are saddened to have lost both, much as we celebrate Comrade Lungi's life. Comrade Lungi was drawn into political action by a deep desire for peace, for freedom, and for justice in her country. She lived her life in the service of others, as a number of speakers have said, in the service of her people and in the service of her country. She was the one person who was dedicated, but she also dedicated her time, her skills, as well as whatever resources she had to help her people without expecting anything in return. Her dedication was rooted in the values of her movement, the African National Congress. And she expressed all this in the work that she did in the ANC Women's League. And what were those values? There were values of integrity, values of hard work, discipline, compassion, humility, and responsibility and accountability to her people. She's one of those outstanding women who has walked every step of our people's journey to democracy with fortitude and diligence. She was not afraid, and she was not a coward, and she was courageous. She was not afraid to work with people, even if as they were critical, and she faced challenges every step of the way and knew that success would be achieved from the efforts that she put in. She joined the struggle at a time of great turbulence, at a time of great conflict in our country, and more particularly in this province of KwaZulu-Natal. She became active in the local structures at a time of heightened repression, when the forces of apartheid sought to sow division and to turn communities against each other, as Comrade Jeff Radebe said. It was her calm and determined manner, her sincerity, her integrity that propelled her to be chosen as a leader in local peace committees at a very young age. From these early experiences, she knew the destruction and the pain of disunity and division. Throughout Comrade Lungi's life, she dedicated herself to forge unity, as we heard from the president of the ANC Women's League, to forge unity within communities, within her own organization, and also in her own country. She knew that a people who are united could never be divided. People like Comrade Lungi forge unity, and they know that it is vital to building peace, to ensuring that there is stability and progress. Their role is not just important, it is a role that is foundational to rebuilding trust amongst people, to healing wounds, and to setting communities and indeed a nation on a new path. She knew that unless we settled our differences, unless we overcame conflicts of the past, we would not be able to move forward. We would not be able to build the South Africa that we seek to build, a South Africa that belongs to all the people of this country, and a South Africa that is just, that is equal, and that is also prosperous. It is a time like now when we have seen the resurgence of racial antagonism in some quarters that we need people like Comrade Lungi. At a time when our communities are being torn apart by many social ills, such as gangsterism and violent crime, yes, by corruption and patronage, by a bitter contestation for public resources, it is at this time that we need comrades like Lungi, who, as we heard, never did anything for their own benefit, but for the benefit of the people. At a time when our movement still struggles with the corrosive force of factionalism, we are called upon to follow the lead that Comrade Lungi showed. We are called upon to be unifiers, to be healers because people carry deep emotional scars of what happened in the past, and particularly in this province as well. Comrade Lungi was an organizer, and she was a builder. Whether it was building local structures of the UDF at the height of the struggle, or re-establishing the ANC as a powerful movement, she understood the value of popular mobilization and organization. She understood the need for these structures to be rooted in communities. But these structures, as she insisted, should also be drawn from communities and to serve the interests of the communities. The value of effective organization grounded in people's daily lives is as important today as it was when Comrade Lungi started out as an organizer, organizing UDF structures and later organizing the structures of the African National Congress. For many, mass mobilization is just for elections. It is done for conferences, and sometimes it is done for protests. But for a person like Comrade Lungi, mass mobilization is essential for the fundamental transformation of society. It is essential to address the difficulties that our people face and to improve the conditions in which they live. For a person like Comrade Lungi, democracy relies on the participation and activism of the people. This we heard very clearly from Comrade Togoti Tiza, the Speaker of our National Assembly. We remember Comrade Lungi's concern as a Member of Parliament that not enough time was dedicated to constituency work. She was convinced that public representatives needed to spend more time amongst the people that they were elected to serve. This was the type of leader that she was. From her first responsibilities in local structures, as well as regional structures, from the positions that she held in the province to her election to the National Executive Committee of the ANC and the ANC Women's League, Comrade Lungi understood that leaders were elected to serve. As a leader, she sought neither power nor influence, although she did provide influence, but largely from the backside. She did not seek prestige or enrichment for herself. She did not seek public office for the benefits that it could bring, as we heard from the ANC Women's League President, Comrade Sisisi Tolashe. Comrade Lungi will be remembered as someone who throughout her life championed the role of women within our movement, within the ANC Women's League, and within society more broadly. Among her earliest political tasks was to recruit women into the ANC and into the ANC Women's League. And she dedicated herself to the advancement of women at all levels of leadership. For her, this was a matter of justice. It was fundamental to the achievement of the equal society which she felt strongly that we should build as a country. She understood that freedom required nothing less than the full, equal participation of women in all areas of the life of the nation. It is indeed a tribute to her and to those who worked alongside her that our country has made such remarkable progress in advancing the position of women over the last 30 years. She was vital in giving women of this country a voice and securing their place within the ANC, within our public institutions, and more broadly within society. But she knew, as we also know, that this struggle is far from over. Patriarchy is still very much alive in South African society. Women are underrepresented in many areas of society, from business to science, from politics to sport, and in various other areas. Women are still regarded as second class. Women are more likely to be unemployed and, as we know, underpaid. African women shoulder the greatest burden of poverty, and the face of poverty continues to be that of an African woman, not only in South Africa but also on our continent. She was at pains in advocating that this situation should be changed, and the struggle that she continued to articulate was to correct precisely this. Comrade Lungi was pained by continuing scourge of gender-based violence and femicide in our country. She found the levels of the violence that is perpetrated by men against women completely unacceptable, as all of us should see it. She saw this as a pandemic and as a scourge that continues to divide our nation between men and women, to breed mistrust, and she saw it as destroying the lives and dividing communities. And she also saw it as a barrier to the full realization of the basic human rights of the women of our country. If there is anything that continued to trouble Comrade Lungi, it was the gender-based violence and femicide and the situation that the women of our country continue to find themselves in. We remember Comrade Lungi as a leader who was always ready to join many thousands of women in the streets of this country, always ready to carry a placard to shame perpetrators of gender-based violence. She was always ready to visit and to console families who had lost loved ones as a result of gender-based violence. The reality of the daily struggles of women in this country requires from us an even greater determination to continue the work which Comrade Lungi dedicated so much of her life. It requires that we follow her lead in mobilizing and organizing the women of South Africa, of all races, from all walks of life, to intensify the fight for equality and for justice, and to have a South Africa that is free of gender-based violence and femicide. And we must recognize, as she did, that this is a struggle not to be waged by women alone. It is a struggle that men must also pursue with as much vigor and purpose and resolve as the women of our country, but perhaps to a much greater extent than the women, because it is us men who are the perpetrators, and it is us men who must mobilize amongst our own ilk to make sure that we rid our country of the gender-based violence that Comrade Lungi was so appalled by. We are gathered here today in our numbers because Comrade Lungi was driven throughout her life by her love for the people of our country and her organization. She, like many of us, was pained by the state also of our organization and also of our country, but also of her province, where the ANC suffered its worst electoral defeat. And she saw this as a humiliation for the African National Congress. The weakened state of our movement's branches was especially a matter of organizational concern to Comrade Lungi. She always saw the ANC branch as not only the basic unit of the organization, but its live wire. She believed that the only way the ANC would renew and rebuild itself was through having branches that are alive and strong. She did, however, say that after the decision of the National Executive Committee to reconfigure the ANC PEC in KZN and Gauteng, the renewal of the ANC would be on a much better footing. Before she sadly left us, she told me that she had great hopes for the renewal and the resurgence of the ANC in KZN, as she believed that the ANC was being given a new lease of life by our people, as she saw the support that the ANC was beginning to revive was being manifested through the evident support that the ANC was getting in by-elections. And as a perceptive leader, her analysis gave me confidence in the work that is being done by comrades who are in the leadership of the province now, as led by Comrade Jeff Khadebe and Mike Mabuyakulu and others. We are on the right course, and in the end, we should continue building so that those who are said to be sleeping inside the ANC, who are called sleepers, should wake up from their stupor and realize that they are having a bad dream and wake up to the warm embrace of the African National Congress once again. But Comrade Lungi was also driven by her love for life, by her love for her family, for her friends, and for her comrades. And to her family, we extend, as I said, our sympathies for a grievous loss. But we would also like this moment today to be seen by her family as a moment where all of us join them not only in mourning Comrade Lungi, but in celebrating her life. For Comrade Lungi has had a truly impactful and effective life. Sometimes people can go through life without having any impact, but today we are able to say that Comrade Lungi has had a monumental impact on the life of her own organization, on the life of the communities that she sought to serve, and we say thank you to her family for sharing her with our movement and with the people of KZN and with the people of our country. We have, as a people, have lost Comrade Lungi far too soon. We have lost her at a time when we needed her most, her honesty, her dedication, and the commitment that she demonstrated throughout her life. As we mourn her passing, let us who remain resolve to honor her memory, not in words, but in action, and to try to emulate Comrade Lungi, particularly through emulating what we have heard about her life from her daughter, from her family, her brother, and from many comrades who spoke as they spoke about working with her. Let us honor her memory by taking forward the struggle which she dedicated her life to, the struggle for peace, the struggle for unity, and the struggle for ensuring that we uplift and protect the women of our country. May Comrade Lungi's soul continue to rest in peace, and may her struggle be continued by all of us as we remember her. And as someone said, much as she is gone, she will forever remain in our hearts. And we say, Hamba kahle Mbokodo, we will forever remember you, the Deputy President of the ANC Women's League. We dip our heads in fond remembrance of you, and particularly the leadership that you displayed. Ngiyabonga.